When you go for the fulfillment, you will always have the money and somebody will be blessed and happy in the process of you doing what you are doing. So it's having that humane desire to truly give service to human beings. Money becomes a bonus. Money becomes an external validation that you had a good intention and somebody benefited from what you are doing. If you're starting a business because you really found a problem and you want to provide a solution to help somebody, then you would succeed better. 90% of what you envisage and plan will probably not realize themselves the way you see it. That's just life. Disconnecting from that ideal that society has painted to be a perfect and happy life. And then realizing it's not that path that goes like that, it will have to go this way. And people who know how to navigate that, they end up being the happier ones rather than those who think it will be the successes for those who can navigate twists and turns without giving up.
Welcome to Visionary Voices. Today we are thrilled to have Kennedy Gates on the show, a dynamic entrepreneur, a real estate investor, and the owner of Royal Home Caregivers in Calgary, Alberta. With a passion for mindset and a knack for business development, Kennedy is a trusted consultant in the home care industry. Get ready for valuable insights from a true business visionary. Welcome to the podcast, Kennedy Gates.
Thank you, Ada. It's a pleasure to be here.
It's always a pleasure to talk to people like you. So I'm excited to dive into your backstory. But before we get started, is there anything you wanted to let our audience know just about you in general?
Well, I would say I'm Kennedy Gates, originally from Cameroon, Africa, West Africa. I've been here since 2013. And just like you said, I've been very much into mindset, transformation, growth. And principally, I'm in 3 areas of business. I'm in the healthcare industry. I do real estate, and then I'm into coaching and personal development.
So I want to go into you. Why do you do what you do?
Why do I do what I do? Okay, let me say it this way. My upbringing initiated me on this path. My background initiated me. See, growing up, I came to a point where I realized that what was being told, what was being said, was not the reality that I was seeing. I think at some point in life, we all get to a point where we start asking questions. Many people never get to allow those questions to come to the surface, probably because of the fear of the repercussions that could come if they ask such questions. But I think at every point in life, we get to that point where we start asking ourselves some very vital questions. So to me, it got to a point where I realized that the things that were being told were not the reality that was being lived, especially in my background where I came from. I came from a place where we were told that we as humans were the privileged creatures on earth, that we had dominion over all the things on earth, over all the creatures. Mm-hmm. But it was easy for me to realize that all those creatures were even living better lives than us humans who were supposed to have dominion, honestly. Mm-hmm. The birds and the animals in my neighborhood fed better than the human beings that were living there. They don't have to struggle. But so it was that point where I realized that there was a disconnect between what's supposed to be, what's being told, and the reality. So by questioning that, I started my journey to personal development. I started my journey into digging deep to see what really is money and how people can acquire it, and why do some people work so hard and never get it, and other people seem to have everything that money can afford and have. So that to me was my initiation. The background and my realization, that voice in me that started showing me the contrast between what's told and the reality I was living.
So when you came over as an immigrant to North America, there was a mindset shift that happened for you. And then you got from being an employee with your nursing degree, being an employee working there, and then switching up to having that mindset shift and then deciding to become an entrepreneur. Talk to me about that journey and why you decided to pick healthcare as the thing that would be one of the areas in which you create an impact.
So I would first of all mention that I came to Canada voluntarily. Yes. I had to leave my job, leave the country, leave my background and the comfortable environment. Firstly, because I was curious to know what's out there in the world. I wanted to discover what the world had in reality, not just seeing it from TV or through an internet screen. So coming here was a voluntary thing. And when I got here, it was so easy for me to realize that most people who had been here before me, especially immigrants, most of them were whining in cycles. I personally did some research, and I think that's what most immigrants don't do when they get here. They don't take time to analyze and get the reality of those who had been here before them. It's easy to get here, and the next day you're given a resume, and sometimes they put some job descriptions and they modify it, and you have no clue, but they say, just go and drop it here, drop it here, drop it here. And that's the path many people take. So I was fortunate. I don't know if I should say fortunate or wise enough to pull back and study the system, to analyze each family, especially immigrant families. How much do they make? How much do they spend? How much can they save at the end of each month? Then it came to my realization that even back in Africa, I could save better than some people who are living here because they could barely save $100 to $200 a month. So that to me wasn't satisfactory. I knew there was something I needed to do or learn differently because I didn't want to end up there. I had to use my skills to get the first job, which was a healthcare job. I worked as a caregiver, a personal support worker. In that process, I got to work with some very wealthy families taking care of their parents. And being in that environment gave me a shift to be able to witness people who are doing good financially. And being a caregiver, you are at the center of the family. You are in the house. You see everything. You see their personal details. And from there, I worked in facilities, and then it was a different world. And by doing so, I realized that there was an opportunity in the healthcare industry where people really did not want to be in a facility when they get older. So the demand for home care was high, and it's still high. And I took advantage of it. So I think it's a matter of being prepared, and then the opportunity comes, and I took it. And I always say to people, preparation plus opportunity leads to success. And at some point, we called it luck, but the
It's not
preparation
luck.
was there, and the opportunity came, and I took it. And by doing that, I went deep into healthcare, and then learned real estate, and then invested in real estate. So that's how I went into all what I'm doing now.
It's interesting you mentioned preparation and the opportunity, but you need to be able to recognize the opportunities when they show up. You were able to recognize that and create a business for yourself out of it. And right now you coach people through the same process of creating healthcare agencies or home healthcare services for themselves. How were you able to identify that opportunity?
I think to me, identifying the opportunity was, I always say that I transform myself first before getting into business. I spent about a year of personal development. I'm one of those people who went on Google and typed how to become a millionaire in America. I would expect Google to be the last place to search such a thing if you needed reliable information. But it was because in the society, it's hard to tell who really is doing good financially. Everybody looks normal. Everybody looks rich. But the real rich people are very difficult to come by. So that was me searching for something. And when I searched, and I would say, if you search deeply, sometimes you can get a feeling that this could be an opportunity. So I came across books, I came across people who gave me ideas on what books to read, what podcasts to follow, what people to follow online. And I did that for 1 year while working as a healthcare aide and as a nurse. And at that point, and like I say, when the student is ready, the teacher shows up, which means that when you're fully ready mentally, you develop inner eyes that can see opportunities. And the next thing would be to take action immediately without procrastinating, and then go for the opportunity. So I was ready, I was prepared. And then while working in the facilities, because my mind was open, I was able to see the need for home care because I saw people refusing to come to a nursing facility. I saw people pushing their parents to nursing facilities. And I knew that if these people stayed in their homes, they would be happier and live longer lives. So I think it's a combination of that mental preparedness and putting on my mental eyes and seeing that opportunity, and not just seeing it, going for it without being prepared. When I started this thing, I had no coach, I had no mentors. There was nobody around to show how to teach how to start a home care business. I had to just fumble around. I had the end in my mind. That was what I was going for. I didn't care about the process. I kept my eyes on the vision, and then messed up, lost a lot of money, made a lot of mistakes, but I'm where I am today because I never stopped because of those things.
Yeah. As somebody was actually in that space, you're choosing to bring a lot of people along the same journey with you?
Yeah, I get asked that question because I've been training people in my same city, in the same locality. And when you put it public out there, a lot of people feel insecure. I've
Yeah.
had questions asked to me like, Kennedy, why would you train somebody to do the same business you are doing and they become a competition? Because in most schools we see today, most business schools, most marketing places, the first thing they talk about is competition.
Mhm.
You have to study your competition. You have to know your competition. I've read a lot of great books, and that's always the emphasis. But I was fortunate. I still don't know if it's the word fortunate or what, but I took a path that gave me a whole different way of seeing things. I don't believe in competition, and
Yeah.
competition truly doesn't exist. When you believe in competition, you are accepting scarcity.
Yeah.
You are embracing scarcity mindset. I don't
Yeah.
care what field of business you are in. When you think that there is not enough for everybody, you would want to keep it for yourself as much as possible.
True.
That's the cause of competition. And if you believe in a God or a creator and you think that that person or that being knew what they were doing, you would realize that there is enough for everybody on earth. There's enough food for everybody. If humans knew how to use food, there's enough water for everybody to be able to take a shower 5 times a day. There is enough money for everybody. When you see it from that perspective, you will easily train somebody to do the same thing you are doing because there is enough for both of you. I tell people we can all have $10 million in a bank account. Money is infinite.
Yeah.
And when it comes to the healthcare industry, it is truly infinite because we are in a sector where people are getting older every day. How many Canadians celebrate their 65th birthday daily? And
Yeah.
those people qualify as seniors. So when you have that inflow of clients, that inflow of resources, you don't have to see competition. I always say this in a jokish way, competition is for CCs, right?
Mhm.
It's for people who are afraid of something. So I boldly train people because I know that I alone cannot take all the opportunities. Somebody else takes the other part, I take this part. So it's been the same in home care and real estate and all the things I do. It's easier to embrace the abundance mindset and share opportunity rather than embrace the scarcity mindset and have somebody frighten you to check your competition, to always worry about what the other person is doing. And then you miss the opportunity of fully embracing what you're supposed to be doing.
You hit on a very great point there, because just to the name of this podcast, it's Visionary Voices. Once you are a visionary, you don't care about competition because you're leading the way. And it's like everybody is even just following in your path because you were the one setting out. You created something without necessarily seeing how anybody else was doing it, but based
Yeah.
on your experience in the field itself, having a nursing background, working in the space and seeing the needs of the families that you worked with, you saw this need and you created it. So you're the visionary in that space in a lot of ways. So kudos to you for that, Kennedy.
Thank you, Ada. I appreciate it.
You're
So yeah, I
welcome.
always think we are here to create and not compete over what has already been created.
Yeah.
That's how I see it. Our creative minds are always working. You get one idea, that's a creative mind. You implement it, something comes out in reality, another person. And even when I tell people, when I train you to start a home care business, you're not going to start my home care business. That's a fact. It's like going on TikTok. Yes, we dance all to the same music, but the videos are never the same.
Right.
You will never do the same thing I'm doing. So I'm giving you the skeleton, the structure. But because of your uniqueness, your company is going to look completely different from mine. And that diversity is what makes life beautiful. So people who believe in competition are people who think I can do the same thing he's doing. And in reality, that's false. You can never be another person. You can never do exactly what they're doing. So I feel free to teach because I know that by teaching, it will always lead to diversity.
That's great. Speaking of that, what has been your favorite client transformation story in the healthcare space for people that you have trained to start their own business?
Client transformation journey, I've had a lot of them. My
Right.
desire, my ecstasy moment is always when somebody texts me for that first home care client. When they say, Kennedy, I just signed up my first home care client. I usually get very excited and I'm sometimes happy to share that on my social media. I would get permission. Do you mind if I share this conversation? Yeah, I can blank your name. But those are the success stories I have. Currently have people in many different provinces and even in the USA running their home care businesses. I just had a text from Edmonton this morning with a lady asking me what to do with a client. So it's not a process where I train you and we're done and you're good to go. No, from time to time we keep in touch and they can message me and say, this, I have this difficulty. I think one of my moments that stood out that made me happy was when I trained somebody and their first home care client was a 24-hour home care client. Like having a client that needs care 24 hours a day is it's a jackpot in home care.
Mhm.
So me training somebody and the first call they got and the first client they had to do an assessment was a 24-hour client, to me, that was a huge win. I remember going and representing her company to do the home care assessment for her because I did not want her to lose that client.
Mhm.
So to me, that was a story I could always remember. Because even in my home care business, I've had very few 24-hour home care clients. So yeah, those things make me happy. It makes me feel like I'm passing on something that is really resourceful and helpful to other people.
Wow.
Mhm.
What does it take to be a successful agent or a successful entrepreneur within the home care sector?
I would say going back to the roots of being a real and natural human being,
What does that mean?
right? What does that mean? It means that when I teach home care, it's not about setting up the business. I'm focused more on getting that person to bring out the human in them. It's a people's business.
Yeah.
You're dealing with families on a human level, you're dealing with employees on a human level, you're dealing with staff that work for you at the human level. So it's a business where I get to get people on a journey of transforming to be a people's person, to building those soft skills. It's not a business where you need some degree in nursing or some degree in a certain career. It's a management business because the client is there, the job seekers are there. To connect those two, you need to understand humanity. You need to understand other people and understand yourself and how to create those relationships in a way that everybody in that connection benefits from it. So I find it fulfilling that I can meet a family and create a good relationship and they trust me to a point of letting me take care of their loved one or their parents. And then I build a relationship with a caregiver to a point where she trusts me that she can go and work with that person, knowing that I set up everything in the back and she's going to be paid and everything is going to be fine. And then when she goes there and provides her great skills, the families fall in love with her and message me or send me an email to say, Kennedy, the lady you brought, she's really great. We love her. Thank you for making this happen. So that is a fulfillment that you hardly get from most businesses. But the client is happy for the help and the change you're bringing in their life. The person you give a job is happy to get a job, a fulfilling job, and they can take care of their family. And then you feel happy that you could create that and you make money out of it. So I think that's pretty cool. And that's why I've been so passionate about sharing that opportunity because I know the fulfillment I get from it. And to me, for other people to get that fulfillment, it's sharing joy, sharing the good things of life.
That's beautiful. The last episode I did on this podcast, I was talking to Chris, who's a friend of yours as well. And he's
Mhm.
very big on fulfillment. So it's quite interesting that you keep bringing that up. And I think that is like a shift that is happening right now. I don't know if it's happening now in the business world or it's always been that way. What role do you think fulfillment plays in the work that entrepreneurs do?
I think fulfillment is everything.
Yeah.
Fulfillment brings motivation. Fulfillment brings happiness. Fulfillment brings a sense of gratitude that you wouldn't get if fulfillment wasn't there. At a superficial level, when people want to start businesses or do things, it's always like money, 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 money.
Mm-hmm.
But the reality is, when you go for the fulfillment, you will always have the money, and somebody will be blessed and happy in the process of you doing what you are doing. So it's having that humane desire to truly give service to human beings. When you do that from that perspective, money becomes a bonus. Money becomes an external validation that you had a good intention and somebody benefited from what you are doing. So I value fulfillment and I value every entrepreneur that puts fulfillment first rather than money, material, and other things. So to me, it's always been about fulfillment. When I coach people, I get the fulfillment of seeing them transform their lives. I spend a lot of time talking about mindset and personal transformation, not just the business, not just the money. And I get a lot of people when they come to me, their whole first intention is about how to make money.
Mm-hmm.
First thing they ask, Kennedy, how much money can I make from this business? Kennedy, when will I have my first client? When will I have? So I could tell the shift, but it's my role as a coach, as a mentor, to take them through that process so they can fully embrace the notion of fulfillment.
Yeah.
And once you embrace that, the money, like I said, becomes an extra, becomes the bonus, and even makes the fulfillment better. I'm not undermining the importance of money.
All right. That is cool. I'm very sure that some of the people that have come your way, like with every business, some of the people come and they're not a good fit for that business. And what I think is happening at the back of my mind is that there are certain misconceptions of the people when they're coming into it. And you've touched a little bit on that, to think about the money side of it first without necessarily thinking about, am I going to enjoy this thing? Is it something that is in alignment with what I am or who I am? And am I going to get fulfillment from doing it? What are some misconceptions that you have experienced in your time working with entrepreneurs who are trying to get into the space?
I think the misconception I always see here is money is always the first motivation for most entrepreneurs.
Yeah.
Fame could be a motivation, but I think fulfillment triumphs all these. So the misconception for most people when they're going into business, it's probably because they feel fed up with that job. They feel fed up with working so hard and not getting money. And now they think the only solution is starting a business. So if you're starting a business, it's because you're fed up with the job and it's so stressful, then you're doing it wrong. If you're starting a business because you really found a solution and you want to you really found a problem and you want to provide a solution to help somebody, then you would succeed better. People have always had the misconception. Okay, I will touch about money again. Let's say if you ask the average person, what's stopping you from growing your business? What's stopping you from starting a business?
Yeah.
They always say capital.
Yeah.
And in all my research, capital is not the problem. That's a misconception.
Yeah.
People go to the bank for capital. People go to their friends for capital. People wait to save money for so many years to get capital to start a business. But you know, and I know that 90% of entrepreneurs fail within the first 5 years. Even those who take capital from the banks, they fail. The problem is not always capital. And I say it, if you have a true idea, you have a true conviction, and you're coming from that angle of providing true service to humanity, capital will not stop you from starting a business. Rather, the person who has capital is already rich and probably does not need a business. You start a business, and then the capital is the reward for you starting the business, because capital is money.
Mm-hmm.
So people always have it backwards. I don't have capital. If I had capital, I would be doing this. But from all my research and the things that I've proven to myself, when you invest in yourself, develop yourself, build a connection with that project you want to take, have some value to give to human beings, the capital comes naturally and sometimes at a later stage of your business. So those are some of the misconceptions. Thinking that capital is what's stopping them from starting a business, and then going for business because they're fed up with their job and their life and they think business will magically fix everything, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then going for a business because of the money, not because of the service and the value it's going to bring to other people.
Yeah. So it's about finding that idea or that thing that you can actually solve as a problem in the world, finding that problem and then bringing a solution to it. Yeah.
That's the initial stage. And once you've found a solution and once you've found a problem and you can bring a solution, the next stage of taking it, and that's where I do a lot of consulting these days, taking people from that small business mindset and mentality to an actual entrepreneur path.
Yeah.
Right? Because you can provide solutions to people and you know how to do it and they're so fulfilled. But how can you, because I always say this, people laugh at me. If you help one person make money or solve their problem, you make money, a little bit of money.
Mm-hmm.
If you help a few more people, you make some good money. But if you can help so many people make money or solve a problem, you make a lot of money. So a lot of people, yes, they've found a way to solve a problem, but the strategy to convert that to helping way more people can be a problem. I remember having this awakening in Kelowna when I saw somebody with a yacht, a very big yacht. And when I met them, I talked to them, I asked, how did it take you to get to this level of wealth? And he told me clearly, he said, one, you have to start a business that truly solves somebody's problem. I checked it in my head. I'm like, yep, I have that done. And
Yeah.
he said, the next thing is you have to see how you can solve this problem to as many people as possible. Many people don't know how to expand that way. And that changed my mentality because I had been running this home care business and so focused on providing the care I had to the clients I had, but I didn't have that bigger vision.
Yeah.
And he gave me this book, Good to Great. He said, go read it. It will change how you do business. And since then, we've been strategizing about expanding, transforming everything. So most entrepreneurs or most people end at that problem of finding a solution. Yes, finding a solution to a problem is the first stage. But how do you transform that so you can help more people and get to build wealth from that? That's a critical point. And you will see people end at a point of small business. They have a salon.
Yeah.
They can provide, they can do all these things. It will keep you busy. Yes, you're solving somebody's problem, but will it take you to the next level? You need another strategy to take back. You're a massage therapist. You do massage. You have two hands. It's 24 hours a day. Yes, you do it good. People love it. You love your clients. But at the end of the day, how do you take that? So that's the next level. You're providing the solution to a larger number of people and then making a life from it.
Yeah. So it comes down to what you've already said, but now in expanding the last point you're talking about is finding a way to duplicate that. And that comes with team. And a lot of people are so scared about expanding and adding people to their team who can, it's like you're duplicating yourself. Like you mentioned, you have two hands and you got 24 hours in a day and that's it.
Yeah.
How can you duplicate yourself? It becomes creating a team, providing that training, that mentorship to them so that even in your absence, that business continues to operate.
And also not being too attached to what we do. I've seen situations where people know what they do, they master it so well, it's become part of their identity so much that they cannot let go.
Yeah.
Let me take an example. You do makeup for women and
Yeah.
your clients love you so much and you love them and you love doing that because it's not just a service you're providing, it's a craft, it's a skill that fulfills you.
Mhm.
But you know that if you keep doing this, you will not have a life to spend with your kids and your family and stuff, because now you get clients line up 7 days a week. Everybody wants you.
Mhm.
And that's the trap most people stay in. You have to get to a point of detaching a little bit, knowing how to train somebody. Yes, they might not do it the way you do it because you are the specialist, but get to that point of training people, expanding, knowing that I have to depend on these people. They might not be great. They might not have the mindset I have, but it's only by building a team and working and outsourcing some of the things that you do
Mhm.
that you can leverage from their effort and then have the fulfillment of serving more people and then have the benefit of having more time, freedom, and money to live a life. So to
Yeah.
me, that's what I mean. Many people get too attached to what they're doing that outsourcing becomes so difficult. I've seen a lot of entrepreneurs complain about their personal assistant. Oh, she cannot do this. She can. That's a fact. You are the visionary. Nobody
Yeah.
will ever do it the way you do it. But you have to accept them and acknowledge them and support them to do it in their own way, and
Yeah.
then train other people and build a team. So that's where I see most entrepreneurs stuck crossing that barrier and end up just doing everything. They love it, they do it great, the clients love them, but it's hard for them to disconnect and build a team to run the whole thing.
You know, it's quite interesting that you mentioned about the assistant because not too long ago, I hired my first personal assistant and she's great.
Mhm.
I realized I had to get better. I had to get better at giving instructions. I had to get better at delegating. I had to get better at setting up processes because my processes were all in my head. I'm like, okay, I need you to do XYZ, but I know I don't even have the instructions to give to you to go and do it. And so I had to then step back to say, Ida, this is the time for you to then create the process so you can help her do the work she's supposed to do. So it's amazing that you said that, and the fact that like a lot of people complain about my assistant can't do this. Of course she can't, because you're not organized enough to give her what she needs to do. And so
Yeah.
it comes back to
And
that self-reflection. What is it that you as a visionary or you as the entrepreneur has to learn to do better so that the team around you can support you better in your mission?
I love that. And once you create that system of training her, you can duplicate it and train other people. If you didn't put yourself in that position of letting her do it and finding that loophole, that adjustment that you had to make, you could have probably kept doing what you were doing and then continue grinding and then getting exhausted at some point. And yeah, like I said, not being too attached, creating those systems, being open to learning. I'm glad that you were open enough to realize your own part in the equation and see that, no, I need to give her better instruction rather than blame her all the time. I need to give her better instruction. I need to build a structured way so that she can follow. Once you put that system in place, it's easier to have people eventually just follow or build a bigger team. So yeah, it's a vital key in a growth process to take people from that solo entrepreneur stage to being an actual entrepreneur.
Yeah.
Mm.
And speaking of which, in my own business, people generally hire me to do the accounting and taxes and their bookkeeping. And I've noticed that most people ignore the need for accurate record keeping until they get into some sort of trouble. Is this something that you have seen with the entrepreneurs you work with? And what do you tell them?
Well, I've actually had to experience it live myself because I had to go through auditing with the Canada Revenue Agency. And it was a lot of mess sending papers to, was it Nova Scotia? Because they have an office somewhere
Yeah.
and doing all that. So it's not something I would say people do. I went into that mistake for the first time. It's a lot of work to do. And sometimes being a solopreneur, you could think you can grasp everything, dealing with receipts, paperwork, tracking things here and there. So yes, I truly believe that having a structured system, having a way to track these things, and I am that kind of person. I really don't want to do certain things. I prefer to let the professionals do it, let somebody who has the bookkeeping and accounting thing do it. Because if you're the visionary, you have to focus on creating, you have to focus on doing things.
Yeah.
I don't want to micromanage things. I don't want to go into some details. My assistant knows it very well. I don't micromanage. I let her take the decisions as much as she can, and then she can give me feedback, not running to me all the time. Kennedy, do you want Kennedy? Should I do this? Should I do that? So it's all about realizing that spending our time mostly on the things that we need to be doing can be more productive than trying to do everything and then being the jack of all trades. And yeah, so
Yeah.
from my entrepreneur side, I don't want to do certain things. I would prefer to let somebody, when I hire an assistant, an admin, I know she's better at some things that I don't know. And I respect her for that. And I let her do her job. Mhm.
Yeah. And there's a great book that I read. It's called 10X is Easier Than 2X. That's a book by Dr. Ben Hardy and Dan Sullivan. It talks about the concept of there's only 20% of things that we are supposed to be doing that's going to give you 80% of the results. But oftentimes we'll focus on the other 80% of the noise that doesn't
Yeah.
quite produce any result because you're so busy trying to do everything when you can actually just delegate certain things. You can eliminate a lot of things, but you can delegate a lot of things and find the right people on your team to help you with all those things that you shouldn't be doing or that are boring for you to do, but it's not part of you as a visionary of the company because it's just 20% of the things that you have to be doing and the rest of it can be delegated. So that
Absolutely.
seems to be something that you're really, really practicing. And I guess that's why you're going 10X.
Well, practicing and trying to get better at it, because at the end of the day, I still catch myself trying to do certain things because the process of outsourcing sometimes takes time and sometimes like I'm going to do it. I still have to I still catch myself doing certain tasks and then asking myself, did I just do this? Right. And just like when I started in real estate, there's always that temptation. You have a property and it's a Saturday and you decide to go cut the grass, cut the grass at that house, at that property, just fix it. But the thing is, when you do it at that moment, you just brought down yourself, your value to somebody who does landscaping. Cutting that grass, you can pay somebody $20 per hour. At that moment where you go and do it, you brought down your value to $20 an hour. And if you could spend that time doing something else, you would have more reward. It's the same like in home care. When I train people, especially ladies, and they get their first client or second client, there's always that temptation of them going and helping the client. Because the process of hiring somebody can be scary and tedious. So they go and do it because it's something they know how to do anyways. So doing it, you keep $30. But if you pay somebody, you're going to pay them hire somebody, you pay them $20 and you keep 10. So there's always that balance between you doing it or letting somebody do it while you spend that time looking for more clients. I think it's something that you solve it at one point, you get to another level, you have to be aware enough to see that at this point, I have to let some things I'm doing again because I'm still catching myself doing other things, and then you move on to another point. that's a continuous process that we take as we grow. I still find myself doing certain things. I still find myself editing some videos on my phone and on my computer. I still catch myself doing some things that I know I have to be outsourcing.
Mhm.
But sometimes we have to do some things really quick and then post it online, right?
Yeah, yeah. And sometimes it's just enjoyable. You know,
Mhm.
I want to go to some fun questions, Kennedy.
Okay.
Who are 3 people, dead or alive, that if you had the opportunity to sit down for dinner with, you would choose, and why? 3 people.
Okay, that's a tough question because I've been through a lot of people. I would say Joe Dispenza would be one of them. I really love his idea of neuroscience and epigenetics.
Mhm.
I think when I started my journey, I listened to him every day, and it really helped rewire things here for me.
I
So
love
Joe
Joe too. You
Dispenza,
introduced him to me.
yeah, Joe Dispenza. I still read his books. He's been part of my work. So I would choose him first to sit and have a conversation with him. The second person I would love to have a conversation with would be Dangote from Africa.
Wow. Okay.
Would like to know what it feels to be the richest African person, what he goes through on a daily basis, what are some of the challenges he feels, and on a world stage, what are the challenges he feels internationally when he travels and the things he does, because we have to accept certain realities in the world we live in, and learning from these could be helpful. I think I would love to have a conversation with him. And I think that conversation would simply be for me to know where I'm going to and what I would be going through and stuff, right?
That's a good one. All right, number 3.
Number three. My dad. He's still
Why?
there. I hope to have that conversation. The reason is that he struggled very much in his life. He wasn't an entrepreneur. He wasn't an employee, but he wasn't an entrepreneur. He was trapped in the middle where he wasn't employable. He knew that he didn't want to have a job, but he could not run a real business and get the family out of poverty. So he had a subsistent business that just served as a hand to mouth thing, right? So I
Mhm.
would like to have that conversation because when I witnessed him do what he was doing to take care of the family, I knew it was great. I was a kid, I didn't understand. So I would like to have a conversation with him, probably see what stopped him from getting to the next level or from growing into being an entrepreneur, and also me understanding how I could help more African families who are in that position, because I know there are a lot of people who are unemployable. They know that they don't want to be employees, but at the same time have not embraced entrepreneurship. So they fumble in the middle, they try to do things, it doesn't work, and that just becomes their life. So I would go for that just to learn. Like they say, sometimes you learn from other people's mistakes. You truly get to understand them, not you waiting to make the mistakes. I always have this quote: if you don't learn from your mistakes, you're stupid. All right.
Mhm.
Right. Like
Mhm.
I say, stupid people don't learn from their mistakes. Smart people learn from their mistakes, but smarter people learn from the mistakes of others. Don't have to wait to make those mistakes. So I would like to to have a conversation, a frank conversation with him, to learn from some of his mistakes so that I could help other people who probably are in his situation better. Mhm. So
Wow.
yeah,
That was a very personal one, and I've never heard you actually talk
you watch
about you.
this, don't crucify me. That's just being honest.
Well, thank you. Thank you for going deep and for this is one of my favorite questions because it kind of gets me into knowing a little bit more about my guest, and it gets you to reflect because this is the first question that you really sat back and was like, let me think about this for a moment. Who do I really want to talk to? Dangote, Joe Dispenza, and your dad. They're all alive, right?
They're all alive, and I
So
hope I
those
meet them.
conversations can happen.
No, not I hope. I will plan to meet them. I like to go from hoping to planning. They're all
Mhm.
alive, and I will meet them and
Great.
have that one-on-one conversation. Mhm,
Great. And here's a question that I'm sure you've heard before. Think about 20-year-old Kennedy.
mhm.
What would you tell him? You were in
Okay.
UB at the time.
Yeah,
I
20
think
year old.
you were running a little business by the side at the time as well.
Yeah,
Now,
yeah.
looking at that Kennedy from your eyes right now, what would you say to him?
That would be a little bit of a personal question, but I will try to be as fair as possible. Back, I would say 90% of what you envisage and plan will probably not realize themselves the way you see it. 90%. And it's about embracing life's journey, embracing the twists and the turns, and realizing that that's just life. Disconnecting from that ideal that society has painted to be a perfect and happy life. And then realizing that it's not that path that goes like that, it will have to go this way. And people who know how to navigate that, they end up being the happier ones rather than those who think it will be this way. So if I had to go back, that would be what I would tell myself. Life 90% of the time will not go as planned. And success is for those who can navigate the twists and turns without giving up.
To get ready for a bumpy ride, young Kennedy. So I want to give you the opportunity to share anything that I haven't asked you before that you wanted to get our audience to know about you, about any project you're working on, anything you wanted to say that I haven't asked you.
Well, talking about the projects I'm working on, I think many people have seen me organize a few Rise and Shine conferences. The goal of the Rise and Shine is to teach financial literacy and a mindset shift. That's the pure goal. I have no other motives. And in doing that, I've been able to organize those conferences. I built the Rise and Shine platform. I want to say kudos to the students who are signing up and taking those lessons. And my goal is to see it transform their lives. I'm going to be announcing something great really soon. I don't know if I should release it here. It's not been on any platform yet, but I'll say it. My first book is coming on soon, so please watch out for it. It's already in the making. I'll be releasing it soon. I don't want to give the title of the book here. And once we launch it, it will just be another support to making sure that financial literacy and a mindset shift can go to as many people, or many people can access it as much as possible. And again, kudos to you, Ada. I saw you talking at an event and still doing a great work of teaching financial literacy and a mindset shift.
Well, thank you. Thank you. Like you mentioned, when you see other people who are doing something that's similar to you, it's gotta be like a motivation to be like, wow, yeah, there is abundance out there, first of all, but also like there are more people who need this. So keep doing it, keep encouraging people, keep empowering people. My favorite word, empower. Keep empowering people and just be you. That's the thing I say to myself, because in being myself and embracing who I am, I think I'm able to impact even more people than in being afraid of what society might say of a person like you, or a person like me, or a person like, just be yourself, find that fulfillment in what you do, and the rest is going to fall in order. That's what I say to myself.
Absolutely. Love the energy. You've been all over the place. And yeah, it takes a lot. It takes a lot to create all this content. It takes a lot, both time, effort, and investment. And I do similar things, so I know the amount of effort you put out there. And if people can only come to terms with the importance of what you're giving them, you should be the busiest person. They should be flogging at you and trying to get all of that. But hopefully at some point they can all see the importance of financial literacy, mindset building, and then structuring their businesses, accounting, bookkeeping, and everything. They are all vital part of the whole thing. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate that. Thank you. For those who have listened so far and wanted to get in touch with you, Kennedy, what's the best way for someone to reach you?
The best way to
learn more about what you do.
Yeah, my name is Kennedy. I go with Kennedy Gates as a brand. So I'm Kennedy Gates on Facebook. I'm Kennedy Gates on Instagram. I'm Kennedy Gates, on all platforms. The Rise and Shine University can be accessed so easily. It's riseandshine.university, not .com, not .uk, riseandshine.university. If you go there, just fill the contact form. I'll get it immediately. And then, those are the main ways to contact me. Kennedy Gates on social media platforms and through the Rise and Shine University.
It has been an honor having you on the show today, Kennedy. Thank you so much for your time. And for those who have listened and have watched so far, leave a comment below. Let us know what you think about us. If there is a link that you're looking for, check the show notes and you will have access to everything that we're sharing right here today as a free resource. Thank you, guys.
Thank
Bye
you very
now.
much for that. It was a pleasure having you, and thank you for the job you do to transform the community.
For more insightful conversations with entrepreneurs, check out this video right here. I think you'll love it. Continue to enjoy, and I'll see you there.